You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Tim Fulton.
I'm Andy Smith.
And this is Fight Fan Weekly. Fight Fan Weekly. We talk about some fight news every now and then.
Every time I see our background, I think we should play it.
I really want to. So we're going to be talking about referee interference that's been going on in the MMA world, UFC specifically.
Uh-huh.
We have a couple of stories to talk about, and then we're just going to break it down, chit-chat.
Yeah, so
What happened, Andy?
one of them was Mark Goddard. Mark Goddard was refereeing a fight, I believe, in the UK or somewhere. And I forget the name of the fighter, so I apologize. But the one fighter got a rear naked choke on another one, and he refused to let it go after the guy had tapped. And the referee, was pulling him off, basically.
Yeah.
And he, after a couple seconds, he let go. But then he got up and pushed Mark Goddard.
Yeah.
Started getting into a shoving match with him, and in which case he was disqualified.
Yeah.
The other incident was a strange one, which was Herb Dean was refereeing a fight on Fight Island, I believe. I don't think it was in the Apex. And Dan Hardy, a former UFC fighter, was commentating for the UFC team. And in the first round, I believe, one of the fighters was knocked down. And then the opponent walked over the top of him and basically, was looking at the ref like he's done. And the ref's like, keep going. So he started to keep going. And Dan was started screaming, stop the fight. But you can hear it very audibly because there's no people in the crowd.
Yeah.
So I think the fight ended up going the distance. And then at some point, Hardy ran up to the cage and started basically having words with Herb Dean. And Herb was basically said back to him, from what I read, was, you do your job, I'll do mine. And then I saw some referees go both ways. One said the fight should have been stopped. Others said that the fight is in the hands of the ref, and the ref is to do his job and all that. So let's just break it down. Let's take the first situation.
All right, well, the first situation belongs to me. Full preference here. I didn't see either of these fights.
Okay.
So I heard about the Herb Dean thing, and I heard about, what's his name?
Mark Goddard.
Mark Goddard. I heard about both of them, but I didn't see the fights leading up to them. So that part of my brain is fuzzy, I guess, for lack of better words. But the Mark Goddard thing makes no sense. Listen to your ref. Listen to your ref. I mean, am I wrong here?
That one's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, that one's pretty black and white to me.
Yeah.
And good that he got disqualified. You can't. First off, you have to listen to the guy. Their job number one is safety.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's job number one for them. So if he's telling you to do something, there's a good chance that it's a safety reason. If a guy is tapping out, I would say that's a safety reason.
You're to listen to him at all times.
You're to listen to him. That's the primary rule of fighting. You listen to the ref. You don't listen to the ref, and then you grab him because you're pissed off that you didn't get to hurt someone more. It doesn't make sense. Why?
Well, people have been kicked out of organizations for holding chokes or submissions too long.
Yeah.
And then after you do that too long, you get up and shove an official multiple times and then get into a screaming match with him. If he was in the UFC, he wouldn't be anymore.
Yeah.
And for both reasons, maybe. For holding the choke, even back when the UFC was not doing good, they banned a guy for Babalu Sabral. He held a choke. I forget who it was against. 2005 it might have been. 2003. He held a choke too long against a guy he didn't like. And
so weird. Why?
They kicked him out of the UFC. And they're like, you're never going to fight here again.
Good.
And he didn't. I don't think he did. But yeah.
And to be fair, he wasn't fighting. This guy wasn't fighting in the UFC, but he won't anymore.
Yeah. And
they're not going to suddenly pick him up.
And what's his name? Dude's built like a fucking gorilla. He's a leg lock specialist. God. Who's more? Paul Harris.
Okay.
He was known for holding on to submissions too long. He did it 3 times in the UFC. And the last time he did it, I believe they kicked him out.
See, good.
And then he had a fight with Jake Shields afterwards where he was clearly eye gouging him Jake Shields' eyes were bleeding. Were bleeding. And the ref, Steve Mazzagatti, I believe it was, piece of shit. Not piece of shit, but just a shitty ref. Piece of shit ref. He was clawing. He had blood coming out of his eyes, and then he submitted Jake Shields, who's a submission guy.
Yeah.
He held on to the submission. I believe it was an Americana or a Kimura. Held on to it too long, again, on top of eye gouging him. And then when Shields, like, basically punched him for holding it too long, they fucking yell at Shields. So there's a lot of, I mean, this is stuff in the past.
Yeah.
So back to the present. That guy definitely disqualified, probably should be fined, probably should maybe even be kicked out of the organization.
I agree wholeheartedly.
The other thing with Herb Dean, Dana White came out and said, if you do anything like that, if you touch an official, if you get into a match with a screaming match with an official, if you approach the cage or whatever, you will not work here. He didn't fire Dan Hardy, but he said if anything like this ever happens again, you will lose your job. And he's done this in the past.
Yeah.
So I've never seen this particularly done before, but I don't think you can have that. If you allow it, it's going to happen.
I agree. It sets a weird precedent, especially with a top-notch ref. Right now, Herb Dean, and again,
standard.
I didn't see this instance, so I've heard multiple things about it, but Herb Dean is right now my top referee.
Yeah, everyone can make mistakes too.
Everyone has the ability to make mistakes, and maybe it was the wrong call. Who knows? But I agree with you. You can't go running up and start a screaming match with a referee. You are not the referee.
He's not the referee. He's not the referee, and he wasn't his cornerman. I think part of it was that he used to train with that guy, or he's one of his. So it's like watching a friend. So that's why he got emotional. But his corner should have threw in the towel if he was in that much danger.
There you go. Why not scream, throw in the towel? I understand where he's coming from, and again, maybe Herb Dean was in the wrong, but you have to let the ref do his job. You can't play those interference games like that.
No, you have to. Yeah,
especially
I think,
with Herb Dean. You give him a little bit of leniency because he's such a top-notch guy.
Yeah, and I honestly think that if there was a crowd, we wouldn't have had the situation because Herb probably wouldn't even have heard Dan.
Yeah.
And then Dan probably would not have been able to even get up there because of the mass amounts of people that would have been he'd have to go over.
Yeah.
So it was a very strange situation. It was just heightened because of the current situation. And I think it probably happened because of the current situation. Because a lot of commentators have yelled, "Stop the fight" before. That's not the problem.
Yeah.
Like, Rogan has yelled, "Stop the fight" before. DC, Dominic, they've all said, "Stop the fight, stop the fight."
To be fair, we both and recently have seen a lot of fights that could have and should have been stopped and were not.
Yes.
That's almost kind of like a growing trend for a weird reason.
Yeah, that's not your job is to commentate the fight. And you can say stop the fight if you whatever, but the issue comes in when you approach and involve yourself directly in that it's a different arena. Yeah. Right? It's a different arena. You're involving yourself in there now. Now you have one-on-one contact with the referee. And it's just you're a distraction at that point. So I don't think there's a place for that.
Yeah, I agree.
Or should be a place for that.
I agree with you. The whole thing's weird.
We could talk about it later.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already done with.
Exactly. If Herb Dean was in the wrong, then you talk to him about it. You know?
Yeah.
Or you let the UFC officials talk to him about it.
Yeah.
You don't put it on yourself to do that. That's
I understand the emotions.
It's just weird.
I totally get it. Dan Hardy's a fighter. You know, guys get heated, but I don't think I think it was just a lapse in judgment, and I think now because he did it, there's kind of that like I stand by my opinion that what I think is correct, but it doesn't mean that his actions as a result of that are correct.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with people in the past, not about fighting specifically, but people have the ability to be right and wrong in the same instance.
Yeah.
You can be verbally correct with what you are saying, but the way you approach things could be so horrifically incorrect.
You could make yourself wrong.
You can make yourself wrong. Like this.
Tim just got shorter.
Aw, I didn't have a lot working for me to begin with. That's kind of disappointing. All right, any last thoughts here?
No, I think we're good, man.
Yeah, I think we're good too. Let us know what you think about these ref stories in the comments down below. Was Herb Dean in the wrong? Who was in the wrong? Are we in the wrong? Am I in the right? I was expecting to go up there.
Nobody wants you taller.
Don't forget to go to brodownpro.com. We have new stuff coming out all the time, along with your classic favorites, such as dinosaurs. It's so hot in here, guys. I can't even think straight.
Let's just let's get out of here then.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh